I'm ready now to add the coil and the rotor. So this is the front of the clock, and I'm going to turn it over, this being the top, like this, and I'll put it right there on my 2x4s. And the first thing that I want to do is take this spring and put it on the gear set shaft. Because if I forget, then I've got to take everything apart and go back and do that, which I've done more times than I'd like to remember. So the next thing that I want to do is take my rotor, okay, and that little gear right there is supposed to go through this opening right here. So I want to just set it down on there. I usually start with it sort of to the side and then I move it like that, okay, and that's where I want it to be, okay. So the next thing that I do is I take 2 toothpicks and I stick them in here, and I'm going to use those to guide the coil down in the right position so I can tighten the field screws down on the coil. Now these are the spreader posts that were in the clock when I took it apart. You may have spreader posts that look more like this. Sometimes they're a silver color instead of brass. Okay, but in any case, if you have this type, the way that they're supposed to go on is this one is supposed to go on with that tab facing up, and this one is supposed to go on with the tab facing down. And what you do is you start both screws in, but you don't tighten them down all the way. Once you get about halfway down, you're going to push this in with screwdriver, toothpick, whatever. So it's like that, and then you're going to push this one in, so it's like that, and then give the final tight down for the coil. But I'm going to go ahead and just stick with the original that came out of the clock, so they don't have those wings on them. So you notice that this has like an indentation on this side. That's the side that we want to go down. So I'm going to put those on like this. And then my next step is to take my coil, and the coil should go onto the back plate with this post sticking forward. Okay, that's forward. That post has got to go through that hole right there. So what I'll do is just take the toothpicks like that, and then very importantly, once we get here, we're going to make sure that we get the gear set shaft on there. Then it's going to have to go over the back of the rotor, and that post that sticks out the front has to go through the hole in the back plate. Now once I've got it here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold it in place, and I'm going to take one of the field screws and try to put it in there and start tightening it down. And like I said, if you're using the other type, this type of spreader post, you want to stop halfway, push those things in if you want it to be the way it was designed to be. So this side has threaded in. It looks like this side is threading in right now. And all I want to do then is tighten these down. Okay. And these, I do want them to be tight. Apparently the coil can make a noise and vibrate if the field screws aren't tight. Now, one thing that I do is I then look underneath the rotor, and there are these little humps on the front of the rotor. There's 3 of them. Those 3 humps, yeah, you're not going to be able to see it in this video, but those 3 humps should be flat against the back plate, okay, if I've got the rotor in there correctly. So I double check that, and then there we go. Now the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to solder some wire onto these terminals. I actually like to solder the wire onto these terminals first, but for demonstration, I'm going to do it after. You can also I'll do it after or before, but I'm going to do it after this time. It's a little bit clearer to see what I'm doing without the wire in the way. So now our next step is going to be to put the face and the hands and the lens and the bezel back on the front. And once we have a wire soldered on the back of there, we can test it out and see what we got.